Today, it's an interesting show. I'm going to be talking to some wonderful people. First of all, a lady who wrote a book about the company she keeps. You know, in life, that's very important. Because when I was a kid in Chicago, Illinois, I was 18, 19, I used to work strip joints for the mafia in Chicago as an MC and bringing on the strippers, you know. And I'll never forget those days. And this lady wrote a book, and her name is Georgia Durante. I was 18 years old in Chicago working for the mafia. And you were, yeah, that's what I mean. You were writing this book about your days. But you're from Rochester, New York.
Yeah, I was born in Rochester. And
tough town, baby.
It was a tough town. It was a tough town. People don't realize what a tough town that was. A major war broke out in Rochester, which is why I came to Los Angeles. There was a contract out of my life, and I had to hide, so I came to California with $7 in my pocket and my 7-year-old daughter, and I lived in the car. And pretty soon, everybody was killed off, and there was no one left to really care whether I was dead or alive. So I was able to come out.
So before you came to California, you really mixed with the mafia in Rochester?
In Rochester and New York City.
In New York City.
Yeah, in New York City, I was driving getaway cars for Carlo Gambino.
You're kidding. No. Getaway cars. You sound like me. I used to bring out the girls, and boy, they used to come in the clubs. I used to deliver little messages. I didn't know what I was delivering.
Well, that's how I started, delivering messages.
Yeah, numbers. There were number games. I was doing number games, I found out. Georgia, not horses, but that's horses we'll talk about. But I'm talking about cars. You were a car driver. I mean, serious driving. Got into the movies, and matter of fact, something happened on a commercial. What happened?
Well, how I got into that was I was modeling at the time. I was in all this trouble with the mob, and I couldn't really do anything because they could figure out where I was and they would find me. So with my car experience, I started watching car commercials, and I would look at the drivers, and you could never recognize them. And I said, "That's perfect."
All right.
You know. And I got a few directors to believe in me. I couldn't tell them what my background was, of course, but they started to use me. And once they did, I'm going back 25 years. You know, and they were putting wigs on guys.
25 years, Georgia. Yeah. You must have been a hot blonde. Is that it? Mobs. They call them malls. Malls. Yeah. I mean, you didn't look like this when you were with the mafia.
Oh,
because you must have been platinum blonde, right?
Well, no, I was. No? Well,
you're a little conservative now, darling.
I was always that way, though.
Oh, really?
I was always that way. I was appearing on covers of magazines when I was driving getaway cars.
Okay.
I was the most photographed girl in the country back in the 60s.
So. How did you get involved with the mafia back in Rochester?
Well,
so young. God, you were so young.
I was very young. I
read this book. What an exciting book.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I was 13 years old, and I met Sammy Gingello, who was the godfather of upstate New York, of Rochester at that time.
Right.
In fact, he wasn't even the godfather at that point. He was working his way up. He was just a young wise guy back then.
Did he have a club in Rochester? They all had those clubs.
No,
there.
He didn't, but my husband did, the guy I ended up marrying.
Who's that?
He owned a club, Joe Lamondola.
Joe Lamondola.
The Prince of Darkness.
Why you call him the Prince of Darkness?
Well, he was.
Was he beautiful?
He was very good looking. He was very charming. And he was like a Charles Manson.
Ooh, but he was Italian.
He was Italian. This guy put guns to my head when I tried to leave him and pulled the trigger twice.
He did, really?
Held me out of a 2-story building.
I heard about that one. Tell me about the 2-story thing.
I wanted to leave him, so he held me out of a 2-story building by my ankles until I begged him to let me stay.
You begged and cried.
It was kind of like, you must remember when Patty Hearst was shooting out the banks and everybody thought she had a gun on their side. Well, there's this psychological thing that goes on that you fall in love with your captor because they allow you to live, and that's what was going on with me. I totally understood what was happening to her at the time, although I didn't know there was a name for it. So there was a lot of abuse issues, and...
So you were abused by men a lot, would you say, Georgia?
Well, by this man.
This man.
Yeah.
Were they...
The guys in the mob really treated me with respect.
The mob do, don't they?
They did.
respect women, don't they?
Well, some women. For some reason, they respected me, but I never had a problem with those guys. It was my husband who was very abusive, and when they would find out that he would do this stuff to me, then they would give him a beating. He did that one time in an after-hour club, almost to death.
Some of the people are alive in this book, still alive.
Yes.
When they read this book, Georgia,
They've read it.
and what do they think? Are you scared? Are you scared?
No. Well, my boyfriend is the ex-chief of the strike force for organized crime, so I'm pretty safe there. But I don't really. When I talk about murders in my book, I don't point fingers. I talk
But you do talk about murders in this book, believe me.
The why it happened, the how it happened, but I don't really say who did it, or I give you the background as to what led up to it.
Right.
And so I really haven't said anything that they would warrant them wanting to kill me for. But you do have bruised egos out there that aren't real happy about this book.
I'm looking at you right now. Would you do it the same way as a...
People ask me that all the time. If I had it to do all over
Yeah.
again, I probably would, because
Must have been exciting.
it was exciting. I was always drawn into, the adventure of that world, the mystique of that world.
Yeah.
That was just part of my makeup. But I learned a lot of lessons along the way, and it's made me who I am today. And I really like that person
That
today.
lesson you have learned. Give me an example.
Well,
Are you married again?
No, I've been married actually 3 times.
3. My. Any other hobbies? I mean, really, darling. 3 times. You're a lucky girl.
Yeah, and I'm very happy being single now, but we'll see.
The book is really good, Georgia. The Company She Keeps. I like the title.
Oh,
Who came up with
thanks.
this title?
We're just brainstorming. The original title was I Still Have the Negatives.
Oh, okay.
And when you read the book, you realize the negatives were in my head. But it was an intriguing title, but it was a little long. And I just came up with 40 different titles, and that's the one that they chose.
When you first came to Hollywood and did films, and you did a lot of films, and you did commercials, and you've done some stunt work. I mean, you're not afraid of this stunt work?
Living in Hollywood's fast lane is like a slow waltz for me now.
Hollywood what, darling? Say that.
Hollywood's fast lane is like a slow waltz for me
Is
now.
it really?
Compared to my past.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Melissa, Hollywood. We have a young lady sitting next to you, and she's young in Hollywood. Hello, Melissa.
Hi there.
Melissa
Nuckert.
Nuckert. I like it. You're a young... matter of fact, you ride horses.
Yes,
Matter of
sir.
fact, you got a championship for riding horses. Tell me about it. Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay.
I grew up on a farm there, riding horses, helping birth calves and foals and anything you can think of on a farm. And I just always had a dream of being on the U.S. Olympic team with my horse.
With your horse.
Right.
I love your horse. I'm going to show you when you were just 14 years old. Give me Snooker up there. Isn't that great? Look at me. And here you are with your horse. Good. That's a championship. Look at it. You jumped up.
Yes, I did what was called 3-day eventing, which was a combination of that picture there is dressage, which is flat work, and then the second day is cross country, which is this.
What's this horse's name? I love this horse.
That's
Isn't
my
that adorable?
horse that I would have gone to the Olympics with. Her name is Friday's Child. She unfortunately, very tragically passed away the year that we qualified for the long list competition.
Tell me about, you teach children jumping.
I have in the past, yeah. I spent a summer teaching riding camp in northern Michigan
Oh,
to
I think that's great. Isn't
children.
that great, Georgia?
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
What made you decide to come to Hollywood to become an actress? All right, Georgia? Oh, man. Why? I mean, it's so beautiful in the country with horses and...
It can't be more exciting than riding horses.
Sometimes I ask myself that on a bad day, but I always had a dream of acting. Even as a kid, I would perform for my parents.
I see. Here's your parents. Give me a close-up on the... Look at their parents. They're so
Nice
happy. You look
parents.
so sweet. That is real American.
And they're the reason I'm here.
Isn't that
you
nice?
Have parents that love you. That's what got me through my
That
ordeal.
absolutely.
Is that what got through you?
Oh my God,
Absolutely.
my parents were very supportive and loving and unconditional love. If I didn't have that, I don't know where I'd be today.
Amen. Amen.
That is true.
I have to say, my dad just celebrated his 70th birthday on Sunday.
Really?
And I was
Happy birthday,
yeah,
Dad.
and I was just home. We threw him a surprise party, and like you, if I didn't have that support system,
Right.
I would have gone home with my tail between my legs years ago. But they are my biggest fans. they're wonderful.
You brought a clip, and I love to show my audience your clip
Oh,
of
sure.
Melissa's clip. I love to see it. If you can show that, David, clip it in for me, and I love to see it. Okay, Melissa
Nuckert.
Nuckert. Okay, I'll let you put it up.
You definitely look different than you do on TV.
Really? Everyone says I look exactly the same.
No, there's something definitely different about you. Hey, these are the coupons I sent you.
Yeah, yeah, they are. You know, you're from Florida, right?
That's right.
Well, gosh, what are you doing all the way out here in California?
You really do read my letters.
Of course I do. You know, you may not know this, but you were my first fan. Well, it was after the second show aired, and I was just sitting here all alone. It was raining outside and kind of gloomy, and I was feeling a little depressed, just looking out the window at the Hollywood sign. Well, the mail came, and your letter was there. And I don't know, it made me feel like I was okay. Like I belonged.
Talk to me.
Adult male, 50s, thrown over the seat in front of him. He's got severe abdominal pain. I started an IV B5W at the scene and 10 milligrams of Demerol.
Yeah, how much is that going to cost me?
Tell me if this hurts. Okay. Full panel, crossing type 4 units, whole blood. I'd like to get a chest x-ray and abdominal CAT scan.
I came home from school, and Mom said that Father had left. And I never knew why. I wanted to die when he went away, you know? I wanted to tell him that I loved him. So I prayed to God, and I asked him to just find him for me and whisper to him that I loved him. I'm never gonna know if he loved me.
I love that little push. I love that little push. Melissa, tell me, darling, study from Miami. I mean, you went to school at University in Florida, or?
No, Miami University in Ohio.
Oh, is that where it is?
Yeah, everybody does that.
Okay, in Ohio. Is there?
Yeah.
Yes, oh, nice.
Yeah.
And you graduated and you got into acting and all that. That's good. That's
yeah.
You didn't go to New York. How come?
I have a good friend who I stayed there for about 6 weeks and just looked around, but as you can tell from my history, I'm from a farm.
I understand.
And when it came time to pick between New York or LA,
California, yeah,
I came out here, I go to the beach, I look west, and I forget
It's
there's
a farm.
city.
This is one big farm country, honey. California is nothing but a farm, believe me.
I had that choice too, and I went to New York, and look what happened to me.
Oh, no.
But you know something? Young girls should really study, but you do study, and you're studying very well.
Continually.
Tracy Roberts, you've studied with, and you've done a lot of theater. Do you like the
Yes,
theater?
I love the theater.
Much better than the films?
Actually, they both have their advantages and disadvantages, but the one thing that is so nice about the theater is your instant response.
Right.
Instant response, instant gratification.
How about you? Theater. Did you like the theater at all?
I didn't do any acting.
You never
in
did any
theater.
acting? Never.
No.
You were acting all the time. You were with your guys acting all the time, Georgia.
Oh God, I was dealing with the CIA giving them millions of dollars to take to foreign countries to launder for the mob. I should have been in the theater.
You certainly, you got involved with all that, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
How do you feel about it today, thinking about it now?
Well, I feel like when I started writing the book,
Yeah.
I was doing it for therapy. Because
You were writing this book for therapy. That's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't start out writing a book. It turned into a book.
How did you just talked on the tape recorder, or you just did?
No. My ex-husband, the one that was abusive, killed
Right.
himself in '93.
He killed himself.
And I just started having nightmares about everything that had happened in those days, which I hadn't allowed myself to think about in years.
Right.
And it came back to the point where it was driving me crazy, so I went to see a therapist, and he said, get a journal, and every day write in it for 20 minutes. That's what I started doing, and it turned into a book. I had 20 pages of this journal done, and I had showed it to a friend who had interest from all 3 networks to do a TV movie of the week on 20 pages of a journal.
Right.
So I just said, gee, you know, well, maybe there is something here. So I started adding dialogue, but I was still doing it for the therapy.
The book, movie, it's a good movie.
It's being looked
a
at
film.
right now.
It is being looked at? It's a, oh, God. Who would you like to see play George?
Play me? Oh, God.
I know who I'd like to see you
Who?
do. Well, no, I'm going to see what you're going to
Well,
come up with.
I
think Bruce Willis's wife.
Yes.
What's her name?
She would be beautiful.
What's her name?
Yeah, what is her name?
Yeah, Debbie Moore. That's it.
No, she would be great, but she's a little too old now. Because
Now
you
she is,
you start
yeah.
when I'm 17, and it goes to today, so
Yeah.
you need somebody that can play that middle
Well,
range
the
and
girl
go
who did
both
Marilyn
ways.
Monroe, the Italian girl, what's her name?
I know who
yeah,
you're talking
that's
about.
the
She
one.
won the Academy Award.
She won that. She'd be good. She's Italian, too, and her
Yeah.
father's an actor, too.
Yeah.
What is her name?
God,
Good God,
what is
it
that?
doesn't.
Angelina Jolie.
No.
Tell me about 12 Years Old in New York City, the underworld. What's this all about?
12? No. When I was 13, I met Sammy Gingello.
That's
was
when you
really
were
my
13?
introduction.
Tell me about the meeting.
Well, I was just having a Coke in a diner with a girlfriend, and these 2 guys in their 20s started hitting on us very crudely. He saw this happening. He was sitting in a booth by himself, and
Was this in the Village area, like?
no, this was in Rochester.
Oh, in Rochester.
In Rochester,
Yeah.
in a place called Skinny's. It was a real tough kind of hangout for up and coming wise guys.
You like the wise guys growing up, huh?
I was just learning about boys, and all the cute boys used to hang out there. I mean, who knew what
The cute
they were?
boys were the wise guys, weren't they? Most of them are.
Exactly.
Why is that? Why do you think that is? Most of the good-looking guys and sexy guys are in jail.
You know what? Even if they're not that good looking, it's just the way they carry themselves. I think that's attracts women.
Right.
They do have class. I mean, they know how to treat a woman.
And they dress
You walk
well.
into a bar, and there's always like 6 shot glasses lined up, for you to. Everybody's
Did you start
buying
drinking
drinks.
when you were very young?
Yeah.
I want to show this picture. God, look at this. Give me a. Oh,
That's when I was the Kodak summer girl.
oh, that's
It was
beautiful.
in 1969.
Matter of fact, you brought a clip, and I want to see that clip. Can I see it, Georgia?
Yeah.
I love this clip of you. Can we see this clip of Georgia?
I can't go without for a long time without having to fill it.
She inhabited a world of glamour and show business, but beneath the smiling facade lurked the darkest of secrets, hidden until now. Discover why they're saying, once you read it, you'll never forget it. A gripping, fast-paced insider's look at an underworld she knew only too well. Georgia Durante is an inspiration. A true story, the company she keeps. From Celebrity Books.
You're an inspiration to women. Do you know that? It gives it.
I'll tell you,
The book does.
What is happening is women are finding me over the internet, and they are thanking me for giving them back their lives after reading this book. One woman left her husband after a 15-year abusive relationship, and through reading the book, she discovered what was happening to her, which is what happened to me when I was writing it. I had no idea what had happened to me until I started writing it. I'd read the pages and say, oh my God, that's why I did this, or that's why I do that, And I just had no idea, and that's what's happening. Women are finding out what is happening with them. They're seeing this pattern. And, I was able to, with what I was up against, get out of that abusive relationship and make something of my life on top of it, which is really an inspiration for them.
When you heard about O.J. Simpson and Nicole, what kind of
reaction
did you have? Tell me.
I saw it. I was in a hotel room in Portland. I was working on a Chevy commercial, and I was in the middle of writing my book, and I was writing about my sister-in-law whose husband had killed her and her 4 children.
Right.
And that's when the news flashed. And they didn't even say anything about Ron, just that O.J.'s wife had been found dead. And I knew, they didn't even have to finish the sentence. I knew he had killed her. I just knew it. And I had an incident with her where I ran into her at Touch, and she was in the bathroom trying to cover up bruises, and I confronted her with it. I said, O.J. is hitting you, isn't he? And she was in total denial. Oh no, I slipped at the pool. I fell right on my face. I'm such a klutz.
Were you a total denial at the time? Because you got a lot of bruises from Sammy.
Well, I knew what was going on. I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed to tell people, you know, and that's where she was. Well, they weren't even married at this point.
Right.
You know, she was totally in love, and you try to overlook things, and everything, of course, is your fault, you know. And that's probably where she was. And I remember walking out of the bathroom saying, well, she'll just have to learn the hard way. And boy, I didn't know that it was going to end like that. That was a sad,
Did he bruise you every
thing.
night, Sammy?
It was Joe.
Joe.
If it wasn't physical, it was verbal, and the verbal was probably even worse than the physical. Every day he told me how ugly I was and who would want me and where
Was
you
it a
going.
sexual kind of thing? Was he into, you think?
No.
No.
No, I mean he was very demanding sexually.
Mm-hmm. Why didn't you leave him?
Why? Well, every time I did, and when he would find me, I mean, I'd have a gun to my head, or I'd end up in the hospital. It was very scary. When I knew if I left, I would have to be underground for a long time. And when I finally did,
right,
that's what I had to do.
How did he kill himself?
Shot himself.
Just shot himself? Mm-hmm. And where were you at the time?
Well, I hadn't been with him in years.
I see.
But,
and when you heard about it?
He molested my daughter.
He molested your daughter?
Yeah.
How old was she?
She was 14. This was way after we were divorced.
Really?
She was going down to visit him. And
did she tell you?
No, but she had told her girlfriend, who told me. Mm-hmm. And I confronted him with it, and he took off, went back to New York, and became a recluse, and then eventually killed himself.
Your reaction when you first heard this? What was your reaction, Georgia?
I was numb. I really didn't think about it one way or the other, but when I told my daughter, we both started crying, and I just said, you know, Tony, this is so weird. He's the one that hurt us the most, and we're the only ones that are mourning his death. You know, there's something wrong with that. I think we better go see a therapist. And we did, and that's when I started writing the book.
The book is great, Georgia Durante.
Thank
I must say it is exciting, very, very. I couldn't put it down. It's just and it's a big book.
Yeah, 456 pages.
450. Wow, you had a lot. You have a lot to say in this book, though. Look at this. This is when you were doing your commercials and your modeling things from cigarettes, huh?
Yeah, it was more cigarettes.
God,
I did.
Look at you, more
I
love.
did about 3 cigarette ads for all over the world, and I was doing car commercials and beer and whiskey. So I had like a year of fast cars, booze, and.
How about some of the celebrities? Did you ever meet Dean Martin or any of these people during your day here?
Dean Martin. In fact, I'm thinking about writing my next book about Frank Sinatra's valet, who was his valet, George Jacobs, for 20 years.
Right. I met him. You know him?
Yeah.
Or you go with him or what?
No. I was just in Palm Springs interviewing him. I think we're going to do his life story.
Great. Is he living in Palm Springs right now? I think Sinatra was great, just a great. Who are these 2 women here?
That's
My God.
me and Cindy Crawford.
That's you in Sydney. Hey, look at her. Oh, okay. Wow, where was this
Pepsi
at?
commercial.
You
I was doubling her.
Ah, really exciting. You like Hollywood now, huh?
Well,
Is this your marriage?
That's my daughter's marriage.
Your daughter, she got married. Where is that? In New York or here?
No, here.
She lives with you now?
She's living in L.A.
L.A.? Are you married, darling? Melissa?
No. Happily single.
Happily single, huh? How about your horses? You still go to Crestern, to riding or anything of that?
No, actually, I try to fly home. I'm very fortunate. I can get home for long weekends every now and then. And the first thing I do when I go home is go to the barn, throw my arms around my horse, take a deep breath, and get on and ride the 260 acres.
Tell me, is it difficult for a young girl yourself coming to, because I don't know, is it difficult for a young girl to come to Hollywood and look for an agent and get pictures taken and get, it's a hard work evidently, and you don't know anyone. What would you tell the young actresses out there if they want to come to Hollywood? What should they do? I don't know, Georgia.
Well,
you're young. You know, tell me.
If there's anything else you can do and be happy and satisfied, do it.
Oh, really?
But
So
actually,
you do
It's a tough road.
you know what? I don't regret a bit of it because actually I was married and I.
Were you married?
I married my college sweetheart. It didn't work out. Separated, came here, divorced my first year here, which was very tough. But I actually, it was in doing that I actually found who I really was.
Who are you, darling?
I'm
You found yourself.
I really did, and I find myself more every day, and I really thank God for that and my parents for that, and I am so happy with who I am right now, and I love myself more and more every day.
Georgia Durante.
Yeah.
You know who you are today, right?
Yes, I do.
Because you have looking back over your life, my dear.
Boy, you discover a lot when you write a book about yourself.
You certainly
about
do.
who you
I've just
are.
finished mine, Georgia. I just finished my book, and
Oh,
boy,
you
I didn't
did?
realize.
Good.
Yeah,
Good,
it's
finally.
fun. It's fun. It's fun. But this book, 400 some pages, Georgia. You have a lot to say.
Oh, I had a lot more to say. We cut out about 200 pages.
This is going to be a film. Would be a film or TV? Would you like?
It looks like it's going to be like a Lifetime or one of the cable stations.
The cable station? Really?
Yeah, or it could be a TV movie of the week.
I'd love to see it at TV. I mean, a movie.
Yeah,
a regular
well,
motion picture.
Gene Simmons had optioned it for a for feature,
Okay.
but he didn't really get too far with it. So I think the more people I talk to, they think it's more of a TV thing. So then we're going down that avenue right now.
You seem very happy now, though, Georgia.
Oh, gosh,
now
I
you
am.
know who you are, and now you got your book out. You're not afraid anymore, it seems, right?
No, I'm not.
I'm
not.
You were afraid a little at back.
During those days, yes, I was terrified. I was at one point running from the mob, the FBI, a stalker, and my ex-husband all at the same time.
What would you tell some lady out there or women out there about their men when they see? What's the first sign? What's the abuse? What happens real quick about
Well,
this?
I think women will never see the abusive situation that they're in until they're away from it. And once they get away from it, they'll learn to believe in themselves. And when they believe in themselves, that's when they will have the courage to keep going forward. But you can't believe in yourself when you're with somebody that tells you how ugly you are every day.
Right. Ugly. You're not ugly, darling. You're very beautiful. Isn't she beautiful? And you're beautiful, too. And I really want to thank both of you for coming and talking to me today. We had a good time. Had a wonderful time.
And
Thank
you're an
you.
inspiration to me, too.
Oh, thank
She
you.
is.